Thank you for joining our Tech Talk today. I'm the producer, Lance Hart, and today we'll be discussing Zero Trust, SASE, and AI, an advanced security dream team. I'm joined by Justin Rice and John Lloyd. Justin, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Lance. John, welcome as usual.
Good to be back.
This episode of Tech Talk. I'm excited to talk about all things SASE, integrate AI into the conversation. It's going to be a good one. A little housekeeping. If you have any questions, please post them. We will respond kind of live here while we're going. And John, let's talk about SASE. A little bit about how SASE, SSE, a little difference between the two, how they're dominating the IT conversation. But before we do, I do want to kind of level set on the market. Why are we where we are? And you do a nice job talking about what hybrid work looks like today. Kind of describe how we got to where we are.
Real estate changed. Over COVID, everybody went home and all of that. And people talked about how we closed 20 offices. You did not close 20 offices. If you had 500 people who worked in those 20 offices, you opened 500 new offices. Yep. You now have to network them. You need to come up with video solutions for them. You need to come up with reliable connectivity, failover connectivity. You need to come up with secure connectivity, all of these things inside of people's houses. Well, fast forward, people got used to this. So we've gotten back to hybrid work, but even in return to office, we realized maybe you come back 100%. Most people haven't. It's a few days a week. It's still the flexibility to work from home, but we've also gotten used to these solutions that were always on or omnipresent. And so for my staff that travels or works from Starbucks or whatever it may be, we need these solutions. And so the same way that when you closed an office, you really opened however many employees you had, that number of offices, every employee is now a firewall. We've got to understand, I've given you the employee. You can work from your laptop. You can work from your cell phone. You can work from a tablet. You can work from a personal device, bring your own device. You can work from a virtual machine when you come into the office. All of these different ways, not only can you connect differently, but your applications are different, right? So you might have Outlook web app as one way of connecting. You might have Exchange as an application on your iPhone, and you might have Exchange as the application there on your, HP on your PC. All of that creates a different profile of how we need to connect it. And that's what's driven this concept of I've got to secure the employee. I've got to secure the app. I've got to secure the device. And we'll talk about that later in ZTNA approach to SASE. But every employee is a firewall now because it's not about securing a building or even securing a network. It's about securing the workload and securing you, the employee.
Yeah, you're right. Like the whole definition of perimeter security has absolutely changed.
Where is the perimeter?
Where is the perimeter? It's borderless now, yeah. Right? And that's very interesting. I remember you and I, it's probably been 9 or 10 years ago, sitting down and talking about as SD-WAN started to rise. And you and I were sitting like, man, at some point, security is going to be a part of this equation here. And that's kind of where we're at with SASE today is that blend of network and security has now formed SASE. And for everybody who's watching, SASE means Secure Access Service Edge. We love our acronyms. But we're to this point now where SASE and Zero Trust is kind of the answer for the problem statement you just mentioned.
It's funny because you always have, for the most part, when we talk with customers, there's a security conversation, there's a network conversation, and then there's the actual people, right? The employee conversation. And those tend to not all mix, and they argue about what's most important. And I always use this example because email is just an application that everybody gets. They understand it. When everybody was Exchange on-prem, you could say, where's your email? Yep. Oh, my data center's in Chicago and Dallas. So my email's in Chicago and Dallas.
Yep.
Now I've gone to O365. Where's your email? Oh,
yep.
Where are you? Right? You have different geo-IP lookup, right? You have these load balanced geo zones. And so that's the part where the network and the performance and the end user experience becomes important as well, not just the security. And so when you talk about moving security into a secure access service edge or SASE, now it's not just about this idea of there is no perimeter. How do I keep the app secure? But also performance. How do I move security as close to the application as possible, knowing that that application can literally be distributed all across the world? I don't have control of it anymore when it used to be sitting inside of my four walls.
That's right. Without jeopardizing the performance, which is a huge thing, right? Because SASE, we talk about SD-WAN, that's kind of the network side of SASE. Secure web gateway, you have zero trust network access, you have DLP, all a part of kind of the SASE suite. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure performance is never jeopardized, regardless of how many, call it, products are part of that architecture.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not hard to keep a network completely safe. It's hard to keep a network completely safe and meet the demands of the business, right?
Yep.
And so if you said, hey, make sure nothing else matters, just make sure we're completely safe, lock it all down. Don't let anything, keep it all in house. That's not the real world. At the end of the day, your employees need to do their job. They need to interact with your customers, with your vendors, with each other. And that's what creates the problem of doing so in a safe manner. And so it's, that give and take of where are you willing to sacrifice performance, latency, email security. Is it a big deal if your email takes 10 seconds to get inspected? Probably not. Is it a big deal if it takes 60 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
Some companies, maybe, right? And so those are the things you have to weigh as you start thinking about your security architecture. It's not that difficult to secure if you don't have to worry about performance, but nobody's in that boat.
Yeah. Well, let's do, we're going to hit the buzzword of AI here. Not a buzzword. It is revolutionary in our industry, in all industries right now. Let's talk about SASE, customer impact, and what we think the future of AI is going to be of SASE architecture.
Yeah.
And talking about things like self-healing networks, call it agentic policy creation, like things like that, where you start to leverage AI to better inform all the way down to the device or user level. Like, what do you think?
There's SSE and there's SASE.
Well, explain that first. Let's start with the SSE.
So the big difference between SASE and SSE is the letter A.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, it's the access, right? So secure access service edge versus security service edge. And that's the SD-WAN. Mm-hmm. And so it's the concept of SSE is your security suite in the cloud. It's firewall as a service, it's CASB, it's DLP, ZTNA, it's remote browser isolation. It's a full suite of security sitting out in the cloud. And you can connect to it in a myriad of different ways. It could be a VPN client. It can be a third-party IPsec tunnel, right? Then you have the SASE, which is an integrated access. So it's a single vendor and includes the SD-WAN. So Palo Alto, their ions, right? So the Prisma SD-WAN connecting to Prisma Access, that's an example of a full single vendor SASE. Yeah. And that's where I think AI can play a great role. So they have something called ADEM, the Autonomous Digital Experience Management. And you talk about adaptive policy. Being able to see in real time, one, using AI to understand what does good look like? What does normal look like? What is a baseline? So I have across my network users using Salesforce.com or Microsoft Teams. I can start to create a baseline of understanding from the path, this is what round trip latency should look like. This is what normal jitter looks like. This is what normal behavior, time of day, all of those sorts of things, hop by hop through the entire network look like. And now when that starts to change, I can be proactive in understanding that we're seeing performance degradation. I'm not relying on a person to tell me, but also to your point, I can start to make tweaks and changes. So maybe it's changing a class of service policy to allocate more bandwidth to an application that's struggling. Maybe it's removing an application, disallowing Netflix for a period of time. Maybe it's moving and steering traffic over a different path or a different link. These sorts of things that, call it administrative tasks that a individual would have to look at, find a root cause analysis, make a determination of the right step to take. AI can do all of that for you in this new world of integrating AI into a SASE platform.
That's what's most compelling to me about it. You and I, former engineers, used to be in command line or dashboards and really tweaking customer environments frequently. The idea that you can leverage AI now with PhD level knowledge to do some of that effort on your behalf is incredibly interesting and drives a level of consistency and experience that I think is interesting for like us to be a services provider, and our army of support for our customers just got incredibly larger. And then the humans can have more intimate engagement with our clients.
It's not necessarily related to SASE, but in the AI and networking space, we are a great partner with Juniper Mist and their wireless platform and switching platform. And I was working with a customer in New York, and they're in a huge office complex on Lexington Avenue in Midtown, right? And it's hundreds of clients in this building. And they've got this challenge where some days their Wi-Fi is great, some days it's not. Yep. And they're trying to chase this needle in a haystack. Can CBTS come in and can you do a predictive study and can you take an echo how and walk through the building and can you tweak my radio? Yeah, we can do all of that and optimize it, and it'll be different in 2 days. What's happening there is we're seeing all of these people that went home are starting to come back into the office, but on Mondays and Wednesdays, not on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Or people are starting to come in and fill up open real estate that now is cheaper than it was. And so a building that maybe was 30% occupied now is 70% occupied. And all of these things, it's like you're tweaking, you're doing this engineering, and it's fixing it for a period of time, but then your environment is changing. The elements are changing, and you need to re-engineer it. And so the AI inside of Juniper with their radio management platform and what their AI assurance is doing is in real time, every time a packet is going across, is saying, do I have channel interference? Do I need to tweak the DBs on my radio? Do I need to move to another channel? Do I need to load balance this to another AP? That's the benefit of AI. So I use that example because it's very relatable with wireless. It's the same with SASE of understanding in real time. What an engineer would do? An engineer would make these decisions in real time, but it might be the wrong decision now 10 minutes later. AI will keep making those changes for you to keep delivering that always on great experience.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. We at CBTS, we're really bullish about this. Obviously, we're bullish about from the network side, from the security side, from AI. Like those are all core to kind of our DNA of the future. And we've gone through quite a bit of transformation here where we have, call it 5 key go-to-market strategies around our portfolios, right? We have our collaboration or next-gen collaboration, digital workplace type of offerings. We have our application modernization. We have security. Obviously, we have our enterprise agreements, and we have our managed services platform. Those, for our future, are going to be huge. No. What's very compelling about this discussion is, security, SASE, AI, that's really in all of those things.
Right. It plays a role across.
It plays a role in everything that we do moving forward. And what I've gathered from most of our customers, that at least that I've talked to, and I love your opinion here, is everyone's like, okay, well, where do I start? Can I crawl, walk, run into this journey? Like, what does an adoption look like of a new SASE architecture?
Yeah. So that's where we talk about, SSE, not full SASE. You can start from the outside in or the inside out. And that's the nice part of it. So we have some customers that maybe are on a legacy SD-WAN platform and say, hey, my SD-WAN's working great. And it was awesome when I was connecting branches back to branches or branches back to data centers or even branches to cloud, depending on the platform that you were on. But now I want to start building a security posture. And so we have a lot of customers that start with our Palo Prisma with access, meaning I'm putting SSE, I'm putting Prisma in the cloud, and I'm using it for my remote users. I'm using it for my VPN users. I'm using it for Global Protect. I'm using it for a lot of customers have started to build what they call a coffee shop model. So it doesn't necessarily matter if I'm at home or Starbucks or an airport or I do come into my office. I build the network the same way where I'm going to send all security enforcement up to that point. Others say, no, when you're off the network, that's where I want you to utilize the SSE. When you're in the network, utilize the SD-WAN back to the data center. A lot of where you see the reason for that is simply being able to route private applications versus public IP space because you do pay for bandwidth going through the cloud. I think that's the key point of you don't need to adopt everything at once. If you start to think about not only is there the access, the network space and the security space, and you can start with security for those folks not on your network, but there's also the bolt-ons to that. So you can start with firewall as a service that, in our case, we're very bullish to your point on Palo and their platformization story. It's going to include, the advanced threat detection and wildfire and DLP, and then add on later CASB, where you're going to bring your cloud architecture, your cloud applications into that security posture, or add in enterprise browser, or maybe start with enterprise browser. So there's certainly an approach of how do I take the first bite, get a first down, making my world more secure and moving my security posture. It is certainly not an all or nothing. In CBTS, we help kind of build that roadmap, and it's understanding. Honestly, it's typically more of a business decision, financial constraint than technology.
Yeah, well, you're right, because like what we see in a lot of our customers is like, oh, geez, I just implemented a new SD-WAN 2 years ago, but I love the idea of a SSE in the cloud. I love the idea of going to device ID or user ID. I love that, but I just made this huge investment. Like, what do I do? And that's kind of where we're coming in and saying, okay, that's fine. Like, we'll help you go to an SSE. Keep your SD-WAN. It's fine. It all integrates. And over time, maybe we do deploy a full suite SASE. And for me, at least, what's compelling when I talk to customers is, to your point, you don't have to do it all at once. You can be thoughtful, aligned to your budget, aligned to your previous financial commitments, and then, have a superior technical solution.
Then the next component of that is, I've got these disparate platforms, layer in a great partner to deliver a SOC, right? Yeah. So we deliver our security operations center, and it's full-time 24/7 CBTS employees with eyes on glass. We're ingesting logs from everything. So while we partner with Palo for the full stack story, we want to deliver Cortex, and we want to deliver XSOAR and XIM, and we want the full. It takes years to get to that. So send me your logs from your Palo next-gen firewalls, and let's put in Prisma. But we also know you've got a different SD-WAN and you're running SentinelOne, and we're going to take these logs into our SIM, into our SOC, and then layer in the AI tools of XSOAR, of XIM, of Palo. And that's the other component where we talk about AI, is making our team better, faster, stronger. Some of our competitors I see use AI to replace people, and I think that's a terrible approach. We've never had a customer call us to just say, hey, good job, right?
Yep.
When customers interact with our NOC or our SOC, it's because something is wrong in their environment. They've been breached, or their switch is down. We need to work together to restore something in their network. They want a human being. They want a person. But what they do want is restoration as fast as possible. And so we're leveraging at CBTS, we're leveraging AI to make our tier one be able to resolve faster, less escalation, better mean time to repair. And so the tools inherent to the Palo platform on SASE, on ZTNA, on XSOAR, the AI that's built into it, what they call threading, right? XDR, the ability for us to, instead of getting 100 alarms, getting one alarm, pinpointing exactly where something is at and being able to resolve it faster. That is AI making my human being better, faster, stronger.
You're right. It's about more meaningful customer engagements. Yes. If we can use AI to augment our work, not replace it, but to augment the work to have more meaningful engagement, provide more value, like that's where the magic is. Now, one thing that we've talked about quite a bit so far is Palo Alto. Palo Alto obviously has an incredibly strong platformization story. They're bringing the entire suite to one kind of platform, right? There's a lot of players in the space, and this is where I think in our unique position is, you have Palo Alto, you have Cisco, you have Netscope and Fortinet, and everybody's building their flavor of a SASE architecture. And I think what I've seen, and I would love your opinion here, is a lot of leapfrogging of features and that sort of thing. And we're in a unique position where we kind of get to take advantage of it all, right? As an agnostic consultant to our customers, as we kind of get to pick best in breed. Where do you see that going over the next couple of years as this market really starts to mature?
It will continue to be an arms race. We work with a very large enterprise customer, and their VP of infrastructure and security, he said to me, I don't want to hire staff based on the tools that I have, and I don't want to buy tools based on the staff that I have.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to just turn it over to CBTS and tell you the outcome that I want. And if that means 2 years from now, there's a different logo that is leading, in an area, you guys go figure that out. You bring the talent. And that to me was telling, because you're right. There is this leapfrogging. All of those logos you talked about, Netscope and Cisco and Fortinet and Palo, they're all great platforms. They're all great companies. and they all have a lot of money behind them. And so they continue to either develop their own technology, or if you can't beat them, buy them. I mean, I don't think a week goes by that you don't see one of those logos in the news for acquiring another startup company, and that you're going to see quite a bit of. And I think Palo's done a great job as they've acquired of integrating. So like their Cortex line getting integrated into their platform very well. And I think that's what's made it great. I mean, Cisco has done a tremendous job. Their SASE platform, their story between where their SD-WAN has evolved to and where Secure Connect has come, they're telling a really strong story there. Fortinet's always told a story of great technology at the price point where, it punches above its weight class. We've started to see Checkpoint really start to bring in some of those, in the email security space and the Harmony suite that they're delivering there. That's really second to none. So I think when you talk about best of breed, for me, you're never going to get down to one logo in your security stack. You can get down to one partner, get rid of 70, try to get down to 10, 15, reduce the tool sprawl. But no, I mean, if you look at Palo, they're not in the email security space or web application firewall space. You're going to need multiple tools. You're going to need a partner.
Yeah, totally agree. And you need them to kind of pressure each other too, right? You need to drive. That's where innovation happens. When the competitors, Palo and Cisco and otherwise, are competing with each other, you want them to push, continue to innovate. And we, as a service provider or our customers, get to benefit from that competition.
Yeah.
Just a time check. We're kind of getting close to wrapping up here. Reminder, if you do have questions, please put them in the chat and we will be able to respond. Let's look at like a 12-month roadmap. What in this space, what are you most excited about, over the next 12, call it 18 months?
We're seeing a lot of Gen AI security, and I don't mean the AI tools making security better. I mean security companies focusing on a security stack to protect against Gen AI. We are seeing an adoption. Really, it's weird. We saw for like 2 years the idea of Gen AI and LLMs outside of the workplace. Everybody talked about it, and it said it's going to take over. The adoption was really slow.
It was. Yep.
I feel like in the last month, the hockey stick is starting to really across the board outside of IT, right? Like Gen AI, Copilot, Grok, like these sorts of tools are starting to permeate the workplace, and that can be a great thing, and it can increase a lot of efficiency and productivity. It's also a huge problem. And I think that is going to be a huge focus. We've already started to see these security companies have, think of it part of as CASB, right? The idea that all of these Gen AI and LLMs run through their security stack for processing. So looking at the data that is getting put in, looking at the responses that are getting put out, and understanding and protecting your employees and protecting your company from the data. I think that's going to be a continued focal point. There is going to be AI good guys, AI bad guys. I just think about kind of the robot wars fighting it out. But the focus on AI, securing the Gen AI tools that are starting to permeate.
Yeah, and I think like using AI on like application level security is going to be interesting too. I was just reading an article the other day. Y Combinator startup ecosystem partner out of Silicon Valley. They said over the last, call it quarter, 95% of the code developed through their ecosystem was developed by AI. Mm-hmm. Like you cannot look left and right. And what I'm excited about there is the innovation that is going to continue to happen leveraging AI is just going to explode. And it's going to be phenomenal to watch. I mean, geez, you can't even log into LinkedIn now without seeing AI action figures, which you and I were talking about.
That's probably the best development of AI is being able to make a picture of your action figure.
Yeah.
But I mean, in all seriousness, you have people who've gotten to the point of here's my Git repository, right? Here's my GitHub. People are borrowing code. They're starting with a gen code. What's in it? We don't know. And so I agree. DevSecOps is going to be a huge component of security in the code, security in the Gen AI. That's going to be a huge focal point, I think, for the next 12 months.
I think so. I think literally security is going to be wrapped around everything. Is going to be a huge focal point, whether that's at the application layer, the network layer, but whatever that may be, it's going to be huge. All right, we are wrapping up on time here. Any closing thoughts?
In general, security is always going to continue to be there, continue to grow. There will continue to be new startups solving new challenges and new problems. I think a lot of them to compete in this space are going to be built to be bought, and it's going to be an arms race. So I don't know that it's so much about the right technology partner as much as it is about the right MSSP, the right consulting partner. From an economy of scale, if we think about an organization that has 10 people in 30 technologies, to introduce 5 new technologies or change 5 technologies, the pressure that puts on your 10-person staff or the hiring plan that you'll have to put in. And there's not a lot of people coming out of college saying, I want to be a network engineer or I want to be a voice engineer. I think the world is moving towards this MSP model, this MSSP model, where we have this economy of scale of supporting 1,000 different customers with an army of engineers and security, network, voice, AI, you name it. That's where I think we're going to continue to see the market trending and the market going. Lean on somebody that you trust, lean on a partner like CBTS to help you get there faster, especially AI. As you look internally, whether it be in your security space or elsewhere, if you aren't at the spot today, it's 2025. If you're not at a spot today where you have AI agents playing a meaningful role inside your everyday business, you are behind the curve. And so I think that's my biggest takeaway is whether it's in the security space or elsewhere, what are you doing around AI agents? And if you're not there, we can be an easy button to help you.
Yeah, no, spot on. I couldn't agree with you more. All right. Well, thank you all for listening today. Next time, we are going to talk about managed services platforms. I know it's an area that we are both keenly interested in discussing. So until next time, thank you all and take care, everybody.
Thank you.